Aloha everybody and welcome to the Wild Wahine. This is all about signs and today we're going to be talking all about Taurus. So you might be a Taurus sun, a Taurus moon, or a Taurus rising, or you have a lot of your planets that are in Taurus. Even if you don't have any planets in Taurus at all or any of the luminaries, Taurus still expresses itself in your chart because when we are doing the whole sign houses, one house, one of the places will be ruled by Taurus somewhere in your chart. So you will have this energy expressing itself even if you don't have any planets or luminaries in the sign of Taurus. Taurus season starts April 19th or 20th, depending upon where you're in the world, and all the way until May 20th and 21st. Taurus is considered a yin sign or negative sign or feminine sign, which means that there is more internal stuff that's happening. It has to do with drawing energy inward. It has to do with attracting things. So the energy is not pushing itself out and forcing itself out. The energy is actually drawing in its attraction. Think of it more like a magnet in a way. And that is how a lot of fixed energy or Tauruses get things done, by drawing things into them and allowing things to come to them. It is a fixed sign, and so the fixed is the mode, and with fixed energy is already moving, or it essentially like jumps on the moving train. It's holding that kinetic energy. It's not the energy that first started that, because that was in Aries and we were talking about that. That's the starter, that's the striking of the match. But once the flame is already happening, what's allowing that to happen, the oxygen that's feeding the flame, that in a sense is that Taurian energy. So Earth is associated with Taurus. Earth has a cold and a dry quality to it, has the colors green and brown are associated with it. And so there is this quality of, planting things or allowing things to germinate or allowing things to grow in a space. It sometimes takes a little while. It's a little bit slower, especially when it comes to Taurus energy. It's not as fast as Aries, but it definitely allows things to really come through. And so as you're planting seeds, sometimes the germination can be a couple of days. Sometimes seeds can germinate for months or actually like a year for some things. The planetary ruler of Taurus is Venus. And so Venus is at home here. She is in domicile. Venus is our planet of love, of relationships, of beautiful aesthetics, of beauty itself, of romance, of pleasure, of things that are sensual and things that taste and feel and look good. So we can understand why Venus is at home here in Taurus, because Taurus is all about the body and about feeling things in the body. Taurus is also associated with the body, and the part of the body that Taurus is associated with is actually the shoulders and the head and the throat. So you'll find that a lot of people who have beautiful voices, who speak poetry, who say beautiful words, a lot of people who have iconic voices or iconic speeches or iconic things that they do with their body usually have a lot of planets or luminaries in the sign of Taurus. Shakespeare is a Taurus, apparently, at least from the research that I did. So again, it's so interesting with that, with the words that are like music, with the iambic pentameter that he's writing in. If you guys have ever experienced or gone to see Shakespeare or spoken any of his words, it's very meaty kind of words, and it's something that really speaks to your heart, and you can feel the musicality in it. Some singers that have either a Mercury in Taurus or Sun in Taurus that are iconic is Barbra Streisand. We have Stevie Wonder, and we have Biggie Smalls, and we have Adele and Janet Jackson. These are all voices that people recognize, or they're dancers who have done like iconic moves or iconic things with their body that you kind of remember, or they have lyrics that are amazing, like Stevie Wonder and Biggie Smalls come to mind as two people who have just amazing poetic lyrics. Comedians, Seinfeld, Carol Burnett, Cedric the Entertainer, these are all kinds of physical or kind of quite wordy comedians that say things in a funny way that a lot of people like, and they're very iconic. Political figures that have Taurus, or whether they have it in the Sun or Mercury in Taurus, are Karl Marx, Lenin, Louis Farrakhan, Ho Chi Minh, Malcolm X, Cory Booker, John Paul II, Queen Elizabeth, and Tony Blair, and then also a terrible political leader, Hitler. But again, we come back to that quality of people who had an amazing oratory skill, which could draw people in and draw in crowds and really kind of convince people of what their their belief system is, whether that be for good and for bad, because again, we have these energies and nothing ever says whether it's going to be good or bad. So we're just hoping that you're using your powers for good. Actors that are kind of iconic Taurus are The Rock, Jack Nicholson, Jessica Lange, Al Pacino, just people who have a unique way of saying things. It's so interesting when you look at kind of these iconic characters and the iconic ways that they say things or express themselves that do have that kind of Taurian energy. So the moon is also exalted in the sign of Taurus. And the moon has to do with home, has to do with the feminine quality. It's a collector of emotions. It has to do with rituals and rhythms and lineage and passing things down, especially things that come maybe from the mother. And so the moon is in its essentially happy place. Like almost think of it on like the best vacation ever, having the best time spent in Taurus. And we can kind of sort of understand that when we think about it, because there is this quality that's slow, that's lovely, that's sensual, that is grounded, that holds things. Earth is a holder of things. A holder of things new. You have this fertile kind of space, which of course the moon would love because it's able to find some stability because it's changing every 2 to 3 days. It finds really beautiful, loving stability in the sign of Taurus, especially since it's Venus ruled. Now, the sign that's in its detriment, meaning like it's not in its happy place in Taurus, is actually Mars, because that's our active planet. That's our fiery planet, the planet that is all about power, all about like sex, about passion, about defense, warrior energy, military type energy, martial arts, even all of those kind of more aggressive outward things, finds itself like not very happy in the sign of Taurus, because Taurus is a little bit slow. Taurus likes to think about things instead of reacting right away. So it likes to use its power in a very judicial way, in a very smart, like, economy of movement is a Taurian thing. Like, okay, how much energy or thoughts or conversation do I need to have in order to get what I want? Think of it like I like to have a lot of nice energy in reserve, and so for that, Mars is just like, no, I want to just go and I want to fight and I want to cut things. I don't want to be crazy. Like I'm this young child, like I just want to, and Taurus is almost like, you just finished like breastfeeding and that like look that the baby gets when they're like completely satiated and they're just like totally knocked out. We can see why Mars is not really super happy in the sign of Taurus. In terms of symbolism, the symbol of Taurus is the bull. So the bull has power. And like I said, it's long distance running, it's endurance power. It's that run that Forrest Gump did. There's a fertile quality to the bull. There's strength yet vulnerability. There's, even with the bull expressing itself as a cow, there's nurturing there. There's the milk that cows provide. There's mother's milk that is provided. So it's sustenance. It's things that are satiating you, satiating your senses. So there's power, but then there's also like caretaking that come with this particular sign, which is why the bull has those type of associations. There's a tarot card that's associated with Taurus, and it is the Hierophant. It is number 5 in the major arcana. It shows a man who is a priest of sorts, dressed in all of his robes, and he has 2 supplicants or students or monks at his feet, where he's essentially allowing the knowledge to be spread from him to them, and he's giving them a blessing to do whatever it is that they want to do. So with the Hierophant card in that association, you can see the association of ritual, the beautiful robes. There's a sensual quality and aspect to all things spiritual, especially if you look like in the Catholic Church. A lot of people go because they believe. A lot of people love the ritual of it. They love the art of it. Taurians tend to be very much like lovers of art and lovers of things that are beautiful, lovers of things that are ritualistic, whether or not they believe in the thing or not. It's just the physical experience or the sensual experience of the thing is something that is associated with it. So you can see that. There's also a sense of routine or ritual. Marriages happen here, relationships and things like that, the coming together of people. So you can see those associations. You can also have like ministers or who are giving sermons, who are teaching people, again, it comes to that quality of beautiful words, especially if Mercury is in Taurus, being able to shift someone's heart by beautiful things that you say. It's not the hell and damnation speeches. It's actually the speeches of beauty, the speeches of togetherness, the speeches that are kind of bringing people together. So it's kind of more that kind of quality. Positive associations with Taurus Positive association. It's steady, it's methodical, it's measured. There's a loyal quality to Taurus. You know, if they say they're going to do something, they typically do it. You know, now they might not necessarily always want to do it, like, you know, because they could be a little lazy sometimes. But we'll talk about that in the negative associations. But if they say they're going to do it, they will absolutely totally do it. They're animal lovers, they're nature lovers. They love to be out in nature. They feel connected. You know, if you're a Taurus person, if you're ever feeling just kind of strung out because there's so many things that are going on in the world, drop yourself in nature, drop yourself in the forest, drop yourself, your feet in sand, you know, pet your animal that you have. And that is, you know, just going to drop you definitely into your body and ground you and make you feel better. And a lot of us can use that too whenever we're feeling kind of flighty and there's just like all the chatter is happening. The best thing to do is to drop into your body and drop into the Taurian things, which is food, you know, things that feel good, petting your cat, you know, that sweater that feels good, or that little throw that you put around your shoulder, you know, your feet on the grass, like all of those things, all of, you know, a nice cool glass of water with like a squeeze of lemon in it, or your favorite pie. Comfort food, you know, like, oh my gosh, Taurus and food, that's a whole other thing. There's a stop and smell the roses kind of quality to it. You see something beautiful, you want to jump out the car and take a picture of it. You want to sniff the flower. You want to pet the goats at the petting zoo. There's a sensory experience that Taurus has that loves to be in the body, loves to have those experiences, loves the sensual aspect of life, whether that's listening to beautiful music, whether that's eating good quality, high quality, delicious, and beautifully looking food, whether that's having, you know, conversations that are meaningful or that are super funny or that draw people in, any of those things, all of those things are all very Taurian. So the thing that Taurians have to do though is make sure that they're pacing themselves, make sure that they're not like taking on way too much, because that's a quality too that can happen. So self-care is like the space in the earth signs. Specifically, I would say like Taurus and Virgo are very self-care oriented. They'll think about it. They come from it from different ways. Tauruses are like, I need to just relax and like do what I need to do to take care of myself. If you can take a nap, like midday naps, you might not even tell people that you're a napper. Like you're like, I'm going to take a nap. I'm tired. I'm just going to take care of myself. And you'll have like all the fire people that are like, what do you mean you're going to take a nap? I'm going to go do whatever I want to do. And then Taurans are like, no, I'm going to go take a nap and I'll call you later. You know, or like, okay, I'm done for the day. My work is done. Like, I'm not going to stay up till 4 a.m. working. Like, I work between 9 and 4. And after that, don't call me because I'm not going to be, no, I'm not coming in. No, I'm not going to stay late. Have a really good sense of boundaries and of what you will do and what you won't do in terms of like, I'm not going to extend myself to the point of collapse, you know, typically. And they're really good about kind of like making sure that they're taking care of what the body needs, because again, Taurus rules the body. So foodie is huge. Art is huge. Art, music, painting, acting, all of the things that are artistic. Again, artistic things have to do with the senses. Art being visual, music being what we hear, acting, which is kind of like an embodiment of the character and a visualization of what that is, you know, through film and television and things like that. All of those things, when it comes to food, people who are, you know, chefs, or, you know, a lot of times Taurians might love watching all of those like food shows or the Food Network or anything like that. I mean, baking and all of that, all of those things that are like comforting, that are grounding. Nothing's more grounding than putting something that grew from the earth in your mouth and digesting it and allowing yourself to get your energy from that. So even just that sense, which is something that we do every day, all day, and we never really think about for Taurus energy, there's a little bit more to it. The textures need to be balanced. The tastes need to be a certain way. So it's not just I'm feeding my body for fuel. It's like I'm feeding my body for fuel, but I'm also feeding my body because to have an experience, you know, it's a sensual experience. So because it's an earth sign, there's this quality also to that kind of asks you like, what are you building? What is the legacy? What is the thing that you're creating that's long lasting? So it's all about creating and building structures that will last for a long time. There's a materialistic aspect to it too. Taurus rules money and your assets and your finances. So there's a lot of manifestation work surrounding the material things, money and your home and your car and all of those things, and how you're using money and saving money and the money that you have to buy yourself nice things. So a lot of times you'll see that people that have have a lot of planets in Taurus, they're pretty adept at, you know, finances, and they love talking about finances and making more money and talking to people about money and how to make money and how to invest money and how to save it and sharing their wealth. So with the material things, there's a question of value. A lot of people, value is one of those things that, you know, it could look like, you know, I'm valuing this because I can sell it later and I can make more money. I think for Taurian folks, value comes with, how does it make me feel? You know, like if it makes me feel good, then I'll buy it. There's no price tags a lot of times. I want to say to Tauruses and Leos too, you know, in terms of feeling good, like this feels good, this looks good, this tastes good, let's do it, you know? So what is it that you value? Do you value art and food and culture and things that will make you a better person? How do these things make you a better person? So there is a sense of like these material things, not just being materials just to have them and to hoard them, but there's a value to almost everything. And you'll find that with all earth signs, because earth signs get like a bad rap for liking material things a lot, and especially Venusian ones, because, you know, Venusian folks love to have things. And so a lot of times it's like, you shouldn't like your things and you got to release your things. You know, spiritualist people are always telling us to release. But I think that like when you value it, when it means this to you, when you're getting this from it, when it makes you laugh, when it makes you smile, when it makes you feel good, when it's something that you can share with someone else, I think that, you know, there's a different relationship between the things, the material things. It's only when we're like hoarding and not sharing and we're cheating other people or doing illegal things to have the things, which I think is the issue, not the things itself. So in terms of love and how they express themselves in terms of love and in terms of making love, you'll have people that are they're very visual. So they like to have beautiful people. There tends to be a little bit more of an ideal of a classic beauty for Taurian folks, whatever that is for them, and whatever classic is for everybody is also very different. But they tend to like sensual things. So they love kisses, and they love, because they're, you know, the region is the head and the neck, and the throat. So kissing and during kissing on the neck, all of those things like foreplay, huge thing for Taurians. They love that. They love to be cuddled and hugged and made a meal, or all of those things. Or if you have a Taurus person who you want to impress, or a Taurus person who you want to show a little love to, make sure you're just doing it through the senses. If you can like hit them through those five senses, you're good. They're also really good motivators, really good managers, really good bosses, really good, like, you know, assistant to the CEO, like your operations person, your person who's like seeing over these people and getting this done and getting that done and getting that done and turning in the timesheet on time and organizing that and doing that and just making sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. They're very good about that, of managing people. People tend to look up to them. They tend to be very fair people that are open-hearted. If you need time off, they'll give you time off and all that kind of stuff. So our negative associations with Taurus, because all signs have them, right? All signs have their challenges. So with Taurus, I think the big thing, and this would come from a lot of, you know, from the other sign that's Venus ruled, which is Libra, is selfishness and laziness. So selfishness is just kind of the sense of wanting to have things to yourself, wanting to make sure that you have the things. There can be a little bit of Scrooge McDuckish stuff, you know, like, you know, floating in the money if you're not careful, just kind of obsessed with all things material, obsessed with looking good and having all of the nice things, so that you might like have a bunch of nice things, but then you're not taking care of something else that's really important in your life because the things took priority, because it feels good. So a lot of times you can use those good feelings to not deal with the things in your life that are important to deal with. And that's like the big challenge of Taurus, is that it will escape into the feel good and not want to sometimes deal with the hard thing or the difficult thing, or not feel like they have the energy to deal with the hard thing or the difficult thing. There is a lot of resistance to change. Stubborn. A lot of people think like Taurians are the most stubborn sign. I'm going to get back with you guys on that. But I think, though, there is a quality of stubbornness. And it doesn't always have to be bad, right? Because when you're sticking with something and you're sustaining and you made a commitment to do something, that's good stubborn, right? We can have good stubborn. So we can be stubborn about like our schoolwork. If you're a student, no, I got to get this done, you know, before, like I can't go out, you know, like I can delay a little bit of gratification because I have responsibilities. So they can delay gratification and take care of their responsibility and then go out. They might end up going to the party maybe 45 minutes late, but they took care of their responsibility, which is good. This stubborn that I'm talking about is the kind of like, I don't really feel like learning anything else or any more information, so I'm just going to stick with the way things are. upset the apple cart for me to change and mentally or like physically into something else. So I'm just going to stay the way that I am. It's just really kind of a lot more to do with that kind of like, I just don't feel like changing because there's so much more momentum that's going forward. You just don't like to stop forward momentum, to stop a plane in mid-flight at 30,000 feet is gnarly. It's an accident. It's a waste of energy to have to turn all the way around and go back. And I think a lot of times Taurians, that's why they are considered stubborn, is because not because they don't see the thing, because sometimes they'll just walk into the bad thing, but they're so stubborn they refuse to like look at it any other way. Aquarians are also really stubborn too, so we'll get back on that. It's because it just takes time. It takes a change. It takes new information. And again, they have to think about their information and they have to like kind of chew on it a little bit before they make that decision. So to change is like days of information gathering and thinking and then changing. And who has time for that? So I'm just going to keep doing what I do, whether it's right or wrong. And that is a big challenge for them. They can be a bit hedonistic, just focusing on all the things that feel good. Sometimes we can just get really super caught up into the body and not think about other things that are important. So the hedonism can be intense, especially, with Venus there, if it feels good, you want to stay in the feel good, and then it's kind of really hard to get out of that. They can be a bit snobbish sometimes just because of that really high quality that they look for in things, the beauty that they look for in things. Whenever you're looking for beauty and you're looking for quality and you're rating things, like this is good food, this isn't good food, this is a great person, this isn't a great person, there can be a lot of snobbery with that. And I think whenever, we have that where we're rating things or we're taking one thing and exalting it and pushing the other aside, there's always a chance that you can be a bit of a snob to the other things that you think are subpar, especially with food. So with Taurians, like, just if you're not a good cook, just go out and get some good food or something. Cause like Taurians with their food, man. They can also be a bit jealous and possessive of things, like smog, with the gold, like the quintessential dragon, just like this is mine and I don't want anybody else to have it. And that can do with the material things, but that also can do with people. So the jealousy streak, when you have nice things, when you have beautiful things, when you have things, these things are fleeting, like we have love now, but we don't necessarily know that we're going to have it later, or we have this level of love now, but maybe that level might go down because relationships change or they switch, and that's a little bit rough for Taurians to understand. Again, a change, a switch. There's also this quality of nostalgia, and I didn't really exactly know where to place this because I was like, nostalgia is not a bad thing. It's like kind of like this middle thing. I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to look back at your life and say, or back at a time that was amazing. I mean, I'm 80s nostalgic. I've talked about it like in every video. You guys know I am. But the nostalgia that keeps you from actually doing your everyday things, taking care of your everyday responsibilities, because you're so stuck at a time which was so perfect, which was so beautiful, which was so amazing. We all know those folks, that have this quality of like, I'm kind of arrested at the time where things were good, and then something bad happened and it's hard to move on, again with that difficulty in changing, because it's fixed energy. Fixed energy does not like change. So you're fixed in the past or at that moment, or fixed in that past relationship. Taurians and staying long-term in bad relationships. I want to do a moment of silence. Okay. Because again, change, not liking the change. You can handle tough things, rough things. A bull is strong. So there's not that much that you can do to a bull that's going to hurt it, to a certain level. And so when you have people who have an immense amount of strength, a lot of times they take on a lot of pain, a lot of suffering because they can. But just because you can doesn't mean that you should. And so I just want to give people, Taurians or anybody really who's dealing with that quality of, I can take a lot and I am taking a lot. Just because you can, just because you have the great strength doesn't mean you have to use it all the time, especially in your relationships. And it's hard because it's Venus ruled, so it wants to have beautiful, well-balanced, perfect relationships. Like, you do not want to argue. So it's like, okay, so where can I bend down so that I'm keeping everything okay? Venus, it wants to make sure that everything is okay, that everything feels good. And so sometimes you'll take a hit, so to speak, and really be emotionally beat up in relationships simply because you just don't want to get out of it. You don't want to change to get out of it, or you're just trying to make sure that everything is peaceful and okay. So that's it. So there we have it. Taurus. Lovely, lovely sign that I'm quite fond of. Let me know if you have any questions about this. You can leave it in the comments below. You can tell me your experience as a Taurus. Was there anything that I missed? Was there something that I said? Did I trigger you? Like I feel like I do in all these videos. Let me know. Tell me, are there other fun Taurian things that I don't know about that like you guys are hiding and you want to let us all know, or things that we should watch out for in Taurian folks? And if you are interested in having a birth chart consultation, you can reach me at www.thewildwahine.as.me. You can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube, and on Twitter at The Wild Wahine. So please make sure you tag your Taurian friends in this video and let them know that I just outed them all. And I will see you guys in the next video. Aloha.